Hey everyone, how's it going? My name is SRY-in-advance, and today I have what is going to be the beginning of a conversation I want to have with you guys down in the comments section. This video is going to rely on 3 points, and I really want to know what you guys think about my ideas, as well as what you would propose for the current problems that I have within the Destiny 2 meta, or the Destiny 2 Crucible system as a whole. The gameplay you are watching in the background was chosen very specifically to accompany the topic within this video. These two gameplays were recorded back to back and feature me playing solo against two 4-man teams. This was really infuriating to me. With that being said, let's move on to today's 3 bullet points that I want to focus on in the conversation I'm going to have with you guys. First up, I want to propose an idea that will lessen the amount of time solo players will face up against squads. The second bullet point that I want to make kind of goes in tandem with this and can be used as an alternative idea if Bungie doesn't want to go with the first. And finally, I want to talk about a system that will punish Guardians that leave their teams midway through a Crucible game quite often. In order to understand where I'm coming from, let's go back 3 years to the beginning of Destiny 1. Destiny 1 had multiple game modes. They had Clash, Control, Supremacy later on. They had Rumble. They had Zone Control introduced in the Taken King. They had Mayhem as a permanent game mode, as well as a number of other ones. And the one I want to focus on is a game mode called Freelance. Freelance was both Rumble as well as Control, and it rotated with Clash. Now, Freelance is a game mode that I really want to see come back within Destiny 2. If you don't already know what Freelance is a separate game mode from the normal playlist that allows solo players to only play against other solo players. In Destiny 2, I feel like that kind of system is nearly perfect for what I want to see happen as far as this problem goes. Instead of playing against 4-man squads or 3-man teams or 2-man teams, I would only play against other players that are by themselves, and this would help the overall gameplay for me a lot. As a solo player, the most frustrating thing to me is the fact that when I'm facing against 4-man squads, they're all communicating and they all know where each other are, and they all know how to work well together. Destiny 2, at its core experience, is a team-based game, much more than Destiny 1 ever was. So playing against 4-man teams as a solo player is really difficult and just not fun. Introducing Freelance back into the game would cause a little bit of chaos, as well as it would allow those solo players to have those really fun games where they don't have to worry about their team very often. I would love to see this come into play, and I would love to see this overall system be introduced, because I feel like having more game modes would be a good thing for Destiny. However, with that being said, Bungie does disagree with me. They have been adamant since the start of Destiny 2 to keep only 2 playlists, and with that being said, I do have an idea that will allow Bungie to keep their 2 game modes, but still make sure that solo players have a little bit better of a time. This would be the fact that matchmaking should just prioritize solo players with other solo players. This would also work to keep squads away from solo players and just absolutely destroying them, but it would also allow squads to kind of still be able to work together. Now, with that being said, an alternative idea that I have to this is just make the competitive playlist a fully competitive playlist. This is something that a lot of the community has generally been up in arms about. A lot of the community has said, oh, you have a casual and a competitive playlist, but they're literally exactly the same thing just because there's no rankings. How about just fully flesh out that system? Put in seasons, put in tiers, put in rewards based on those specific tiers, and we could instantly have a more competitive game that is focused more on esports like Bungie was thinking when they introduced 4v4 within Destiny 1. This would also keep squads that want to work together and be really good in the competitive playlist, and it would keep them away from just smashing through solo players like they're nothing. Why am I going up against teams of 4? Now, the third point I wanted to make in this video is a little bit different from the first two because this one is actually a punishment mechanic. If you're watching this gameplay in the background, you will notice that 3 of my teammates, possibly 4 at this point, have left the game. This happens an incredible amount of the time. It is astronomical how many times my team ends up with 3 people or the other team ends up with 3 people by the end of a game. I feel like this is more of a 2017-2018 gamer perspective than it is anything else. Back when I played Call of Duty in 2012 to 2014, almost every single game that I played, it would be 6v6 from the very beginning to the very end. And why? Well, I'm not exactly sure. Because there was actually something to fight for, ergo a KD, as well as things that you wanted to get, like your VTOL warships and everything. The only time there would be people leaving was when they were just getting absolutely destroyed by score streaks in their spawn. In 2017, however, I feel like gamers have finally realized that leaving a game doesn't do anything for you. Leaving a game doesn't mean you're going to get punished or anything. It just means you're literally going to get into a game with a better team faster. The only way, unfortunately, that I see this improving is by just giving someone a punishment for leaving. This is a system that has been in many, many ranked playlists previously, but I feel like it should be introduced within the casual playlist. An example of this would be if you leave 5 games in an hour, you're kicked from multiplayer PvP for 15 to 20 minutes. And if you leave 5 more games in the next hour of playtime, then you get an hour of ban. And that time would get extended per time that you leave a game. Now, obviously, the numbers need to be tweaked a little bit, but this is just an example of a way to introduce a punishment. I feel like this punishment would force players that play a lot of PvP to stay within PvP, and if you make the time long enough, those players that don't like PvP or are just going to leave every game anyway would be completely out of the player base, and people like me that play a lot wouldn't have to deal with all of their teammates leaving the game every single time. Now, with that being said, that's all I wanted to talk about within today's video, but I really do want to hear you guys' opinion on it. Please write down in the comments what you guys think about these ideas that I have proposed, as well as leave your own suggestions within the comments. I would love to read them. With that being said, I'll see you guys in the next one. Bye-bye.